Jake Paul and Mike Tyson have now been completely blacklisted from all future boxing events, and for good reason. They've done more harm to the integrity of the sport than any promoter ever could. Their actions have finally caught up to them in the harshest court of all, public opinion. Remember those conveniently leaked training clips of Mike Tyson looking like a monster in the ring? He even busted his coach's lip during sparring. Fans believed they were witnessing a resurgence of...
The fight was scripted. Everyone is talking about this on X, and the script was actually leaked on X a few days ago. Now this script has went viral. Let's see how accurate it was. The opening bell rings, Tyson is showing flashes of his old form, which actually happened. As soon as the bell went, Mike Tyson came out with that head movement, pushing forward. Immediately he stalks forward with his signature bob and...
Tyson's power. Millions tuned in, expecting a real fight. Instead, they were served a scripted spectacle. Jake Paul's antics weren't surprising. He's always treated boxing like a sideshow. But Mike? He was supposed to be the one to restore respect to the sport. Instead...
Mike Tyson was right, and I was wrong. You know, you guys know the whole story about Shark Week, and, you know, if you don't, I begged him not to do the Roy Jones fight. You're too old, I love you, I don't want to see you take any more punishment. So I set him up on Shark Week. He got paid good money, and he's like, so he almost flipped out the last day and was ready to kill everybody on the boat because he had to jump in with all these sharks again in the middle of Florida. And he's like, asshole says that, you know, he cares about me and everything else. I've been fighting since I was 12, and he throws me in the ocean with a bunch of sharks. He was right about that too. But he basically said, I told him, Mike, you're basically 60 years old. And he's like, you honestly think this kid's gonna do...
He joined forces with Jake, tarnishing the legacy of boxing in the process. Was it worth betraying the trust of fans and the sport he once claimed to love? The event was a disaster for boxing's credibility. Tyson, once a name synonymous with grit and honor, left fans disappointed in ways they never expected. His leaked training clips, which had promised so much, were nothing more than a marketing ploy. He sold out. As for Jake Paul, he turned boxing into a cheap reality show, as usual.
But are upset over the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, with some people claiming that it was rigged because many people bet a lot of money and they lost a lot of money. Allegedly, there's this script that got leaked showing how the fight was supposed to go down between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. This was actually covered by World Star Hip Hop. So let's read this alleged script and see how the fight was supposed to go down. So round one was supposed to go like this. The opening bell rings and Tyson, showing flashes of his old form, immediately stalks forward with his signature bob and weave.
But this time the stakes were higher, and his partner in crime, Nisa Biden, helped orchestrate an event that will be remembered not for athleticism or competition, but as a mockery of the sport. Together, they shattered the trust of fans and betrayed boxing itself. Reports suggest Jake Paul outright bribed Mike.
Like I expected it to be. What is your assessment of Jake Paul, the boxer?
A very good fighter.
Do you think he deserves respect from the public?
Absolutely.
Hey, that was a good slap. I like that.
Tyson, to ensure their fight, followed a pre-planned script, prioritizing views and profits over integrity. What did they gain? Infamy. Both are now blacklisted by major boxing organizations, leaving Jake's career dead before it truly began, and Mike's legacy tarnished for a quick payday. Jake was never a true boxer. His carefully curated opponents, NBA players, retired MMA fighters, and others far past their prime, were chosen to bolster his image. He avoided boxers of his age or skill, knowing it would expose his lack of ability. Fame, not the sport, was always his goal. This scripted fight was Jake's downfall. He overplayed his hand, chasing accolades without effort and fame without risk. Now the boxing world has turned its back on him. Even his most loyal supporters can't defend this betrayal, leaving him to face the consequences of his actions alone. Jake Paul's attempt to cement himself as a legitimate athlete is officially dead. while
Tyson people talk to. People there's certain people that are just crazy, man.
Well, these people that think that he don't stand a chance against Jake Paul, they're like, this shouldn't even, like, because he's too old. I was like, I think you're crazy.
Well, they're definitely uninformed.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. He is 57 years old. He will be 58 when they fight. He has had a long fighting career. He has been knocked out by massive men like Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. You know, he's had a lot of blows. And he's also doing this very unique kind of training with electrical muscular stimulation.
Jake's antics were predictable, Mike Tyson's betrayal stings the most. Once a symbol of hard work and resilience, Mike has seemingly been pushed into a corner by financial troubles. Desperation drove him to trade his legacy for a paycheck. We understand times can be tough, but selling...
At any point did you start to take your foot off the gas just a little bit because you noticed he was tiring out?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a bit. You know, I wanted to give the fans
out the sport and betraying millions of fans is unforgivable. Mike didn't just lose a fight, he lost the respect of those who admired him. For a few bucks, he destroyed everything he once stood for, tarnishing a legacy built over decades. In the end, this fight was a lose-lose for everyone involved. Jake's boxing career is over, and Mike's reputation lies in ruins. They had an opportunity to create something meaningful, but instead they chose to exploit their fans for short-term gain. The boxing world deserves better, and now it's clear they don't belong in it. Neither Jake Paul nor Mike Tyson truly belongs in the boxing world anymore. While the alleged blacklisting of these two may not be as official as it seems,
I don't know what pleasure you can take from beating an old Mike Tyson.
I believe he actually won the first 2 rounds. Jake Paul probably won the rest of them. Mike Tyson's legs were gone, man. They were gone. And I believe Ryan, I got to give Ryan credit on this one, man. Because Ryan from Sports Wars, he did say that there would be like a no knockout clause.
Since boxing doesn't operate under a single governing body, the term blacklist refers to a collective resistance from promoters and venues. For Jake Paul, this means fewer opportunities to secure big-name fights and prestigious venues. For Mike Tyson, it's about certain doors quietly closing that were once wide open for the sport's living legend. However, let's not forget the elephant in the room, money. Both Jake Paul and Mike Tyson are massive revenue generators. Jake's fights have brought in an estimated $75 million in pay-per-view revenue, while Tyson's exhibitions continue to rank among the top-selling events. With figures like these, it's hard to ignore the financial pull they both have. Boxing, after all, is as much about business as it is about sport. So why would the industry push them away?
Tyson versus Jake Paul. What do we got? Mike Tyson is 58 years old. Jake Paul is 27. 31-year difference. Most of us wanted to see Mike Tyson win. The nostalgia. We rock with Mike. A lot of us support Mike. Jake Paul, you know, the famous YouTuber that stepped into...
Some insiders suggest the issue isn't just about tradition or credibility, it's about power. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson operate outside the traditional boxing hierarchy. Jake, through his promotions company, gives him unprecedented control over his career, avoiding reliance on big promoters like Bob Arum or Eddie Hearn. That independence makes him a threat to the established order. Tyson, on the other hand, has reached a point where his name is bigger than the sport itself. He no longer needs boxing, but boxing still needs him. Fans are divided. Jake's younger audience loves the drama he brings with flashy entrances, over-the-top press conferences, and social media antics, making him more of a showman than a fighter. Critics, however, view him as a symptom of boxing's commercialization at the expense of its authenticity. The situation with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson is more...
What do you think of the fight?
It wasn't a good one.
Wasn't a good one. Yeah. Overall, how'd you just see how Jake fought, how Mike fought?
Well, you know, you can tell something was wrong with the Tyson leg. So he couldn't. His balance was off.
Oh, that's crazy. You noticed that. I just talked to his trainer and he told me that exact thing. Yeah. His balance was off.
His balance was off.
Nuanced than it may first appear. While many fans revere Tyson for his contributions to the sport, his current activities have sparked debate. Some view his exhibitions as a fun way to keep his legacy alive, while others worry they're diminishing his achievements. Watching a 57-year-old Tyson trade punches with YouTubers may be entertaining, but it's far from the stuff of championship glory. Despite their differences, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson share a common thread. They challenge the boxing establishment. They've shown that the sport doesn't have to follow the same old rules. For Jake, that means creating his own path and proving that a YouTuber can be a serious fighter. For Tyson, it's about redefining what it means to be a boxer after your prime. However, the boxing world isn't ready to embrace these changes. It clings to tradition, even as it faces declining viewership and a lack of new stars. By sidelining Jake and Tyson, the industry risks alienating the very audiences that could help revive it. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson may be blacklisted, but they're not going anywhere. Jake's next move could involve MMA, as he's already teased a potential fight under the Professional Fighters League, PFL. Meanwhile, Tyson continues to be a cultural icon, with ventures ranging from TV shows to his continued influence in pop culture. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson don't need the approval of the boxing establishment. They've built empires that extend far beyond the ring. Jake, with his rapidly growing cannabis brand, and Tyson, with his broader cultural influence, are more than just boxers now. If anything, the so-called blacklist might be the best thing that's happened to them. It reinforces their image as outsiders, disruptors, who refuse to play by the rules. Love them or hate them, Jake and Tyson have proven one thing: boxing is far more interesting when they're involved. While the establishment clings to tradition, these two are carving out a future where the sport is bigger, louder, and maybe a little messier. And honestly, who wouldn't want to watch that? The blacklist is less about official bans and more about certain promoters and venues refusing to work with them. For Jake, it's his reputation as a celebrity boxer that's the issue. Critics argue he's more interested in making money than in climbing the ranks. His opponents, retired MMA fighters and influencers, don't exactly scream elite competition. Meanwhile, Tyson's problem lies in his willingness to blur the lines between sport and entertainment. Nostalgic fans might love seeing Iron Mike in the ring, but for purists, it's a distraction from the real action. Ironically, both Jake and Tyson are huge moneymakers. Jake's fights have brought in over $75 million in pay-per-view revenue, and Tyson's exhibition with Roy Jones Jr. was one of the top-selling events. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson aren't just fighters. They're brands. Tyson's exhibition with Roy Jones Jr. became the highest-selling pay-per-view of 2020. Despite their massive revenue, the boxing establishment values tradition over profit, arguing that their presence undermines the sport's integrity. However, some argue that boxing's history of corruption and controversy long ago sailed that ship.
Imagine this.